right? Ask the AI, get its help, enlist it as an adjunct intelligence, or ask it to take on another role, play antagonist, play critical friend.
Are you vibing? Are you managing? Have you asked your AI to freelance? And when the AI shows you its reasoning, read it carefully, because I think that's really valuable. You might just find yourself thinking, oh, I probably should have provided the information up front. Ladies and gentlemen, cyborgs and centaurs, welcome to Adjunct Intelligence, the podcast that looks at everything happening in the fast world of artificial intelligence and the impact it's having on higher education. It is the 4th week of May, 2025. On today's episode, I'm unveiling secret prompting tips. We're taking AI, scanning 57 million health records, looking at Gen AI video, and the Will Smith Spaghetti Index. My name is Dale, self-described tech nerd, your host, and I'm joined by Nick McIntosh, a learning futurist. Nick, are you well?
Doing well, thanks, mate. Doing well. How's about yourself?
Perfect. It's an exciting week in AI and on planet Earth. Let's look at the news. Microsoft's 2025 Work Trend annual report details the emergence of AI-driven frontier firms and calls for the urgent adaptation to new work paradigm involving intelligence on tap and human agent teams. It's a strategy reflected in their own recent workforce adjustments. What I'm talking about here is that Microsoft this week let go of 3% of their workforce, or roughly 7,000 employees, to bolster AI investment. We've seen similar movements from other Magnificent Seven companies like Amazon and Facebook's Meta. I was at the edX conference recently, and Jason Lodge from University of Queensland called it something to the effect of, every assignment is now a group assignment. And with AI in the mix and seeing how students delegate tasks, it kind of really speaks to this intelligence on tap and human agent teams. It's lucky that everyone loves group assignments.
Gemini rollout. Google's decision to make its Gemini AI chatbot available to kids under 13 via family link accounts has triggered widespread concern from child safety experts and academics regarding both developmental risks and the adequacy of safeguards, highlighting the urgent need for clear regulatory frameworks like a digital duty of care.
Ooh, coming back to age gates again. More on the job front, there are currently 20,000 open roles that mention AI. This is your standard ones like OpenAI and Anthropic, and the AI-driven products like Cursor and Perplexity. And there's other companies like Figma looking for an AI product manager. I'll be honest, job ads are never the most robust metric when we're looking at these kind of data points, but it is a doubling compared to the top of 2023, and it points to ongoing investment in Gen AI. Australian Tertiary Education Quality and Standards Agency, or TEQSA for those in the know, has launched their Gen AI Knowledge Hub. Brings together a huge collection of resources that they've been collecting since 2023. It covers academic integrity and assessment reform and much, much more. So it's a good resource. We'll put that in the show notes. In other news, OpenAI has rolled out 4.1. It's a new model. It's a model that's been available for a while, but only to developers. And it's a little coding buddy that can. Across X and Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, it's a buzz with rumors around Anthropic's new Sonnet and Opus models, which will be better advanced reasoners. More thinking is always good. And MCP connectors. MCPs is the USB-C of the AI world, lets you plug in and control other pieces of software from your ChatGPT or Claude, and it may soon come to ChatGPT.
This is really exciting. I mean, USB-C is a fair comparison. Also, the HTTPS, that standard that brought together the internet, this is another analogy I've heard for this, came from Claude, now a standard going across to OpenAI and beyond. This is really exciting, sort of bringing the AIs out of their little box and integrating with platforms like Blender and beyond. So really exciting stuff.
Other things I'm keen about, everyone's favorite workspace app, Notion, has upped its AI offering. It allows for powerful meeting notes, and I really do love this feature. And other things like enterprise search and lots more. So AI and Notion, it really is the match made in heaven. And they're very much out there trying to compete with Microsoft's Copilot offering. Nick, you're an avid Notion user?
Oh, mate, love Notion. Long time Notion user. Big fan of Ivan Zhao and everything that they do. And the AI tool, I've not played with it enough, but the meeting notes feature I've seen, and coming from you, if you're loving it, I have to check it out now. Brilliant.
Note of feedback for the Notion team and pretty much any other app that offers meeting notes. Please stop notifying me every time I open a meeting to take meeting notes. I'll choose, thank you, but just a note.
So Dale, AI video, what's been going on?
Ooh, Nick, I do love myself some generative AI video. Do you remember that really unsettling video from about March 2023 showing an AI-generated Will Smith endlessly shoving spaghetti into his mouth?
Yeah.
It was crude, it was uncanny valley, and it was complete nightmare fuel. But for me, it's become a bit of an unofficial benchmark in measuring how good AI video is progressing. I'm going to introduce something here called the Will Smith Spaghetti Index, and here's why it matters. Entrepreneur Greg Eisenberg, having been blown away by the release of ChatGPT's 4.0 image generation capability, This is the Giblify area from about a few weeks ago. He recently called out there's been about 700 to 800 days since the original Will Smith video, and that the up-to-date version, I'll put in the show notes so you can see what it looks like, of the Fresh Prince consuming carbs was almost perfect. So in just over 700 days, we've gone from what is horrifying to like this disgusting digital abomination to videos and AI videos in general that are indistinguishable from reality. As someone with a professional background in video production, I've been watching this evolution closely, and the acceleration is really exciting. The question isn't whether AI will transform how we create and consume video content, it's how quickly and how completely it will happen. So, on today's episode, I want to share with you what I've learned from testing these tools myself and what it might mean for creators, for things like Hollywood, and of course, for education. Now, despite how much progress has been made, AI video hasn't completely ruined Hollywood. They're still going, for now. But we're seeing those early tremors, and we saw it with the writer's strike a few years ago. Director Tyler Perry recently halted his planned studio expansion after witnessing what OpenAI Sora could do. He kind of recognized that we're approaching this tipping point where the economics and capabilities of AI-generated content will fundamentally change production. Now, being the inquisitive young fella that I am, I want to understand this technology firsthand. So I conducted my own little experiment across my socials, 50 straight days of testing OpenAI's Sora. So each day, I answered a different prompt to familiarize myself with the model's capabilities and limitations. And to be honest, I just liked finding where it would break. Limitations is always much more fun with these models. I was really impressed with the results, for the most part. But I noticed something important. The output still kind of felt like visualization tools rather than any creative works. They kind of lacked this intentional storytelling and artistic vision that makes great video compelling. In a word, it was a little bit heartless. But you get to some pretty good results after some prompting. The most impressive AI video tools today, I may murder the pronunciation of this, I think it's Hello, but their director mode offers really good control. But even these tend to produce content with like this generic stock footage kind of quality. So there's still a gap between AI generation and human creative direction. It's kind of the difference between setting up a camera to record what happens versus the deliberate composition and emotional storytelling that you might see in like a Spielberg film. The technology can create images, but it doesn't yet understand why certain creative choices matter. We still need an artist in the loop. Nick, where are you at with the AI video journey? You were a bit more of a Scorsese, Wes Anderson, proud dad at the basketball game, or cat videos? Where are we at?
Yeah, look, I dabble. I think though it's a bit more a toe than the whole foot in the water for me compared to you by the sound of it. Like, I remember playing with Runway, so they're the OG text to video generator maybe 2 years ago. Nicholas Newbert came out with a trailer for a movie you may recall, Genesis,
Mm.
combination of Runway and Midjourney 5. At the time, that was mind blowing. I remember that. But now you look at things, I mean, you reference some of the tools, you reference others, Google's VO2. Um, they make it look pretty ordinary now. I mean, the realism that you reference, the granular control of shots, reference images, consistency, it's madness.
Mm.
I 100% agree with you on the incredible evolution we've seen here, and that Will Smith versus spaghetti video that is such a good articulation of this progress. Just quickly, the other text to video use case that comes to mind that we or I personally have spent a bit more time on is digital humans. So we're
Mm.
talking AI avatars of people. So we've been doing a fair bit of work and play with tools like HeyGen or Synthesia for HE use cases with educators and professional staff. And from that uncanny valley that we had a couple of years ago, that monstrosity you talk about with Will Smith and the spag bowl or whatever he was eating, it's come. The evolution has just been astronomical, and it's really incredible what you can do there these days.
Yeah, it's getting pretty scary. But I'm just thinking about Midjourney 3 years ago was like even the mess of noise that it was creating was still
Mm.
so incredible to create these things that were artistic and where we're at the moment, which has got me kind of thinking about what it looks like in an education example. You mentioned some of the HeyGen options and like avatars as like phone-in lectures.
Mm.
But from an assessment point of view, I think this brings in something else. In the same way that content creation devices like cameras and professional microphones that we're using now, they kind of became democratized. They used to be very expensive. And now you carry them around in our pockets. We've got our phones. And we saw a huge amount of make a video or make a podcast kind of assessments coming through STEM and business subjects. We probably wouldn't find these. They're usually more reserved to your design kind of subjects. But students can now be shown these Gen AI tools to prompt, narrate, animate, and curate their own thinking into a story. And I would say it's probably even easier to do that create a news broadcast topic about the topic assessment that we've all seen or probably all done, regardless of what subject you're in, because the technical skill level required or that barrier is probably even lower. Even if you ignore the technological shift, the cognitive benefit is huge and what it unlocks from a comprehension of learning. We're moving from tell me what you know to show me how you think, which to me is a huge part of what learning means in a AI first world.
Yeah, look, it's enormous. I love that from tell me what you know to show me how you think, right? From that product to process and this evolution and what we can get out of this with this AI first world, as you say, is just, it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Of course, we need to consider accessibility issues. For every student excited about making a short film about gut health or post-colonial theory, there's another one dealing with limited internet access or anxiety about turning creativity into grades, a skill that's not with everyone. But AI tools may actually help here too. There's text-to-speech services like 11 Labs. They can create narration, and we already spoken about the AI avatars, which can represent students who are not so comfortable on camera. So as we watch the Will Smith Spaghetti Index approach photorealism, we're almost there. I'm cautiously optimistic. These tools will transform creative industries, but they'll be the most valuable when we recognize that the human element, the artistic vision, the storytelling, the emotional resonance, it kind of is still important and not something we can see yet in these Gen AI products. The question isn't just can a student do this, but more around can they do it in a way that's meaningful, fair, and supported. I promise listeners, the future isn't just AI generated videos of celebrities eating pasta. It's finding the right balance between technological capability and human creativity. So let's keep an eye on that spaghetti index. It's about to cross the uncanny valley and it brings great educational opportunity. So, Nick, apparently the UK Health Services has uploaded everyone's health records into AI. A headline which terrifies me. Tell me more because I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, look, this is nuts. So AI isn't just for your emails anymore. It is embedding itself at pace into the very core of our society. We'll take a really quick look now at what happens when it gets deeply personal, starting with our health and just the enormous trust involved there. So Nature recently ran a piece on the UK's NHS Foresight AI, so National Health Service. They trained a model on just a staggering 57 million anonymized patient records. So just think about the scale. The goal is to predict health crisis. So this goes from the individual looking at early patterns for things like heart attacks or diabetes to operational things like optimizing hospital admissions or even work with populations. So looking at preventative health campaigns and all of this, hopefully safe and secure within the NHS's data environment. So this isn't just a trial. This is a world first pilot at just enormous nation scale. It also reflects a broader ambition by the current UK government to, quote, mainline AI into the veins of the nation. In January 2025, January this year, they came out with that as an ambition. And they're not sitting on their hands with this. This is not just talk. They have massive spending plans, a 20 times increase in public AI computing power within the next 5 years. So incredible stuff. But I think for me, the key story here is that with Foresight, is its reliance on our collective health data. The UK's collective health data. So the public trust required for this is just immense. And obviously maintaining it with appropriate privacy, with security ensured is absolutely essential. But Dale, what are your thoughts on this? Like, what are your initial thoughts on the NHS using the scale of patient data for AI? What are the ethical hurdles, what public perception challenges that you see with things like this?
This is incredible. There's so much to unpack here, and I don't want to be judged for my comments. There's a little bit of I deal with data on a daily basis, and I have a bit of a rule around what the aggregate data means and the safety in using aggregate data, but understanding who is a part of that. And so when I say that, when we're looking at anonymized things and what aggregate means, that the individual could be protected in that, but from that as well, you need to be careful of where the nuance is in those data sets. So I'm okay with it in principle. I think it's the making sure that the controls after the fact are things that are really looked after and really considered, because it's once we put it into the system, that's great. What happens after it? And making sure that the sovereignty and who accesses it afterwards is using it for the right purposes. So it's a slippery slope. It's really slippery. And for anyone who's watched Black Mirror, this is probably going to be in season 8. Watch this space is what I'm saying. And maybe means justify the ends here, but I think overall it's about trust and making sure that these systems can be trusted.
Yes. Absolutely. Because look, I mean, ultimately, if we're placing this level of trust in AI for our health, well, what's next, right? I mean, we look at government itself beyond the UK. So the UAE, I mean, they recently launched an AI-powered legal framework, and I mean, this also has notes of Black Mirror, while also sounding pretty potentially amazing. So just quickly on this, the UAE claims the system can accelerate lawmaking by up to 70%, creating what they're calling living regulations. So I guess an interconnection of law with judicial rulings and maybe impact assessments. Sounds potentially awesome, but also incredibly ambitious and just absolutely packed with risk, as any of these firsts are, because there's so much that could spin dystopian. So link up modern surveillance with an AI, combine it with an AI boosted system, updating these living regulations. Who knows what laws minted this morning you've broken by lunchtime, right? So why are we diving into this on a podcast on AI and higher ed? Because look, if I would argue we're reaching a point where AI is deeply integrated with our health data, shaping our laws, built on a foundation of public trust or hope, optimism. I mean, it absolutely reshapes expectations for education more broadly, but especially HE. I mean, because as students see this level of sophisticated data-driven AI and critical public services, will old school university portals, generic learning materials still cut it in HE? I mean, for me, I'm equal parts educator and tech nerd. So I'm genuinely excited about the possibilities for this. We get personalized, truly adaptive learning experiences and pathways. It's incredible stuff. I mean, you've been hearing this for a while. Think AI tutors informed by best practice and university approved, faculty approved resources that leverage comparative knowledge bases of learner and subject, identify problems, give tailored explanations, examples, practice exercises. This is the dream. This is the holy grail of education. I mean, truly personalized, always on support for our students. But again, who knows? All of this based on enormous levels of trust. Dale, like, I mean, what do you think? I mean, AI tutors, these highly personalized learning paths in HE, what excites you most? Or, or glass half full, so glass half empty, sorry, if you prefer, what are the biggest challenges? What are the potential pitfalls for unis trying to implement this effectively?
For anyone who knows me, I swing between complete dread and endless optimism. I'm on the optimism train at the moment, and I want to look at what Kelly Matthews posted recently. There was a study that looked at feedback and what it looks like coming from educators and what it looks like when it comes from AI. And so there's some interesting data points there around the students who are using the Gen AI feedback really valued the availability, the accessibility, the perceived objectivity. It was a really surprising insight, and one that I love is that Gen AI felt emotionally safer than what was coming from teachers. And so students are a bit more like, oh, I can be a bit more myself with these AI bots because it's not going back to a human. A thing to consider. It's a point to consider. However, there was a whole bunch of other things around how much they prefer teacher feedback. And it was rated significantly higher for things like trustworthiness, contextual relevance, nuance, and personalized insights. So again, plus one for human in the loop here, and really for educators.
I mean, there's going to be so much in the rollout of this as well, right? Like, I mean, it's not just that blanket or sort of take this AI pill and all will be fixed. Like,
Correct.
that's fascinating though. I mean, they felt safer. Wow. I mean, at the end of the day, this is genuinely exciting potentially, and I'm glad to hear this optimism coming from you. Like, I love this.
I swing. I swing a
Get
lot
back
there
to me
with
post lunch.
correct.
This could give us an HE system that I would say nominally, at least, could work perfectly for every individual student. The danger then is, would this be a trade-off from the open, sometimes chaotic exploration of knowledge that we have now with existing systems for sterile, bland, curated AI echo chambers, even within academia? I mean, if an AI system guides students down these optimized learning paths, do we risk narrowing the intellectual curiosity, the accidental discovery that comes from that sort of less structured exploring? But like ultimately, just to close with this, that with AI now handling just this incredibly sensitive health data at a national scale, starting to draft laws, living laws, all hinging on this massive degree of trust, are we in HE truly ready for how this will transform teaching, learning, and the fundamental nature of our institutions? Like, I'd personally say probably not. So we need to get busy.
Well said, Nick. So, Nick, you probably would have seen recently that Claude's system prompt allegedly leaked last week. And honestly, I think it's a masterclass in instructional design. It probably doesn't tell AI what to do, it actually shows it and really exemplifies it right throughout the prompt. I'm going to ignore that Anthropic posts detailed information about their prompts on their website whenever they do a model release and how leaky this is, but to consider. System prompts, for those who don't know, they're the magic sauce behind all these models. It's usually ones that we can never see. It means that when Gemini, DeepSeek, Grok, etc. respond, they've already got a whole bunch of other instructions beforehand. Some of it helps with alignment, and other bits help with load and efficiency, so it doesn't lead to doing the most expensive thing it can. But what did the Claude prompt reveal? Structured expectations, clear tone guidance, and plenty of examples. It's not poetic or clever, it's just deeply, deeply practical.
Yeah, it's less be smart and more here's how to be useful. Same thing with the Manis, the cursor leaks, because these models aren't magic, right? They need to have someone who knows what they want, whispering in their ear just every step of the way.
Whispering sounds so much more seductive than it is. It's quite more instructional and very, very deliberate. Here's the truth, I think, about prompt engineering. It isn't about the tricks or the clever syntax, it's really just about clarity. Ethan Mollick recently said in a post, it's been rattling around in my head all week, many of the most important prompt engineering skills are just good management skills. It's about understanding the task, knowing what info is needed, explaining it clearly, giving feedback, and adjusting based on the results. It's briefing 101. And if you've ever managed people or been managed poorly, you know how often that goes wrong for everyone involved when the brief isn't clear. I really love watching these models explain their reasoning instead of just spitting out the answer. I think DeepSeek came out with it first when it was first launched, and you would type its prompt and it would show you the reasoning behind it. OpenAI recently brought it into their newer models, and we've seen it pop up in Gemini too. I asked one of these models recently to recommend a car, and before it recommended a Kia or a Hyundai or something, whatever, for many good reasons, I was watching it think through the reasons why it provided each step. It did things like, oh, the user hasn't specified a color, so I'll suggest an option that's popular with the average consumer. Oh, I know the user has kids. Yes, chat sheet memory is terrifying, so probably not a two-door car. And so those things are really, really interesting. And I had this moment where I thought, ooh, this is the thinking that I see in my teams when I've given them a really vague brief. They've got no memory of things, so they start guessing, and sometimes it works for them. But sometimes it leads to rework. And the people who know me, the team members who work with me for a while, they go, okay, Dale doesn't like Comic Sans when we do reports for him, so let's use this other font, let's use Arial because that will appease him more. This kind of context makes all the difference, and after all, everything is just computer. So for me, there are two emerging styles of prompting. You've got vibe prompting, a phrase that is definitely already in the zeitgeist, but I'm coining here at the Adjunct Intelligence podcast. It's when you fully don't know what you want yet. A tip here that works for me, I kind of just blurt out my thoughts, and then at the end I add that, hey, I'm still working on this idea. Can you ask me questions? And you kind of co-develop the idea with the AI. It helps my own thinking a lot, but also really get a better result with the AI. And there's structured prompting, which is what I'm talking about, where you have a clear outcome in mind. You've got boundaries that you can just set. You're basically writing a proper brief. Nick, what's your preference?
Yeah, I think for me, it's horses for courses, and it depends. Different models have different strengths, different preferences there for them as well. I used to go heavy with structured prompts, so context, role, goal, process to get there, constraints, examples, etc. On that, actually, just while we're here, one thing I would say a lot of people still don't seem to realize is the importance of Markdown or other formatting and emphasis patterns, because like AIs, they love them some Markdown. Use that to provide the underlying structure of whatever your initial brain dump or structure is, and you're halfway there. Now, though, I think it depends. While it depends on exactly what I'm doing, I'm much more of a vibe prompter, much more conversational approach these days. So I'll still dump context, examples, outcomes into the context window before starting a conversation. But then I'll iterate and improve with it, as you said, work through questions, assumptions, and everything else. Because look, I 100% agree on this. So what have I missed? Right? Ask the AI, get its help, and list it as an adjunct intelligence. What are the 80/20s here? Or ask it to take on another role, play antagonist, play critical friend, or flip that whole explain it like I'm five thing, right? Having the AI as a co-intelligence to quote Moloch on this, co-developing with it just makes an enormous difference.
A side note on Markdown, for those who want the inside baseball consideration, XML tags are a common thing coming through a lot of these, and it's those little arrows on your keyboard. You can put boxes around them. They're doing a lot of heavy lifting in these master prompts. and they really kind of help structure your responses. So instead of saying, tell me about inflation, you'd write, tell me about inflation, and format your responses using these tags. So you'd go, okay, what are the causes? You put those causes in Markdown. What are the effects? What are the solutions? There's reports of it really kind of saving token time and simplifying for the LLMs, in which, let's be honest, that's just good management. I'm going to post in the show notes if anyone wants to have a quick hack for this particular prompt. So when you're prompting, take a second, ask yourself, are you vibing? Are you managing? Have you asked your AI to freelance? Because if so, don't be surprised when it improvises. And when the AI shows you its reasoning, read it carefully, because I think that's really valuable. You might just find yourself thinking, oh, I probably should have provided the information up front. If you want to master prompt engineering, stop chasing the perfect phrase. It probably doesn't exist. And as these models come out with new developments, the thing that worked yesterday might not work today. But just start writing better briefs.
That was great.
Well, listeners, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please leave us a review, share around with your network, and most of all, hit that subscribe button, whatever platform you are on. For those watching on YouTube, we are on all the podcast platforms, and for those who would love to see our faces, you can find us on YouTube too. We'd love to tell you what's in the next week's episode, but it's a world that moves way too fast, so you'll just have to tune in. Until then, stay curious, stay intelligent, and continue being human in the loop.